I was a very clever kid, you know. Not I'm not blowing smoke up my own ass, but it's like, you know, it's you know, every teach, you know, my mum, but I was so, because of this, I was a disruptive, you know. I wasn't a bad kid. I would just, the teachers just couldn't handle me, basically. And I had sort of, they were saying, and I used to get, you know, kicked out of school, but it wasn't like the teachers hated, you know, they all loved me, you know, but it was like when they were saying I had more control over the kids than the teachers, so it was like, he needs to go, he has to go. But the thing was, because I were, you know, I loved my football, I still do, and I was a good footballer as well, and I always thought I'm just going to be a football player. That's it. So, and I didn't, you know, the sort of the school system. I just thought this is bullshit, man. You know what do I need this for? So I demoted myself from top sets, you know, and just, you know, strategically did that because, you know, and that was it. And I maybe brought a few people, sorry, Jimmy Carroll again, brought a few people with me, you know, but he's ended up all right as our Jimmy. So he's gone to Australia to get away from me. But anyway, but yeah, so then when I but the violent, the sort of the anger thing came out in the football, so I'd score a hat-trick and then I'd smack the centre half and, nice. You know, round robin and like, you know, but.
So what level of football was that?
It was only, well, we were like Seacroft Colts and, you know, but City boys didn't want to know me because it was all about, you know, the dads and the, you know, you know, the what they could bring, you know, you know, so it was all very cliquey and stuff. And then, so, but there was sort of this thing where, because I got banned from the school team, but my teacher put me in for the trials at Leeds City Boys. You know, I mean, it's.
Leeds City Boys used to be a big thing.
But that was they weren't academies then. It was like that were it, and that were your first step. So anyway, and I went in and I blitzed these trials, and it was Dr. Towers up at Bruncliffe. He was a twat. Anyway, so but he
just tell us what you feel. So,
you're a twat, Dr. Towers. So anyway, he's what is it? So this chat, and he came over named Nicolas Dixon, but we were the school side were in our league. So he's like, oh, why don't you play? And they would play. Why don't you play against us? And I went, oh, we're poorly. He went, what, twice? So I think he got wind of it anyway. And they called it out, and because I was a striker, you're towards the end, you know, and there were like 20 odd players, and it was like everyone were like, you're in, you're in, you're in, you're in, and it went, you know, and they started naming everybody, you know, da, and even to like, and he just didn't call my name out, and it fucking broke my heart, you know, it really did. And then I had trials, one of the other dads, Lawrence Burns' dad. He knew somebody down at Leeds and they stuck me straight in the team. You know, the trials had gone, but I was ill that time. But I was like, I think I was 15. So what did I do? I went out and I was like, oh, I'll drink it. You know, I'll go into town. A lot of my mates were a lot older. We used to go to Stumps and all that, Litchfield's Lens Bar and all that.
Before my time, mate. Before my time.
So anyway, I was like, oh yeah, you know, like, oh you have a few, you'll be sound. So anyway, next day, and because I was quit, I just couldn't run, and then at half time came off anyway, and they started carrying on with me. So you know, and then I was just like, don't talk to me like that, you know. So I didn't even wait for him. I just got my boots, and I remember my brother. He worked Fullerton Park, and he had his bless him. He had his hands up against the thing, and he were watching me, and they just came, and that were it. And that was, and I didn't play again until I was like 24.
Right.
So but then in the meantime, I went totally off the rails. We could say. And, you know, went down the other side of life, you know, the wrong side of the tracks, like we all know what that means and stuff. So, and then I got into...
So what age were you then? Up to 24, you're saying now?
So when it all started getting pretty dark was, you know, when I was about, sort of 18, 19, right. And I got...
But is that's so you've gone through the you've gone through a pretty violent childhood, or been on the wrong end of some treatments, and then your own.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It won't like black and blue, but it was just the way. It was the way, and it was like, because I was, for petrified. And it was.
But you've gone through that as a young person, and lost your own father. And then the disappointment of the trials, which you thought you were gonna. I mean, to be fair, mate, obviously I'm no expert, but there's always already a lot there, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly, mate, exactly. And what it was sort of because my dad's family, the Hursts, they're all, successful people, and it's like, my cousin had a speedboat, and there was, they lived on Aircaster Malt, and I just used to love going over there. So not like school holidays, I was separated because it was like my grandparents used to call me Brian. I mean, they'd lost their son at 28-year-old, man. It's like, so, and I went, I'm not Brian, I'm Nicholas. And I used to get so much, but I just used to answer to it in the end, which obviously that's going to have an effect as well. So I'm seeing this other side of life, which I would have had. And then I am going back, and then, sort of the money starts to run, the dad's money's sort of getting frittered away. And so I don't have these things what I should have. And I'm reminded that I should have these things as well, which messed with my mind, with my head and stuff like that. So there was a lot it's like a pound of keg, basically. And that's what, and you can sort of see why I went that way, and then obviously with the scene which was going on.
So I was just going to say, around that area, around that sort of time that you're on about this, when it's pretty dark times, this is when all the clubbing scene
exactly,
taking off.
and everything else that goes with that, what I mean?
So it's a distraction and a release, and
so I've threw myself into that, if you like. And then
a few people did.
Yeah, of course. They're still there, mate.
Yeah.